They laughed the first time they saw her carrying supplies into the hollow of a fallen tree. Some slowed their trucks just to stare. Others shook their heads in open mockery, convinced they were witnessing the final proof that grief and poverty had finally broken her. In the quiet forests of the northern United States, where winters were unforgiving and survival depended on preparation, one woman chose a shelter no one believed could save her. What they didn't know was that this fallen tree would soon become the safest place for miles, and that the woman they dismissed would teach them a lesson about resilience, faith, and unseen strength. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories where underestimated people prove the world wrong, take a moment to like this video. Comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps meaningful stories like this alive. Her name was Hannah Whitaker, a quiet Christian woman in her early 40s whose life had been reshaped by loss. Once, she lived a simple but steady life, married to a kind man who worked forestry and shared her love for nature. Their small home had been filled with prayer, laughter, and long talks about building a peaceful future close to the land. That future vanished the winter her husband died in a logging accident, leaving Hannah alone with grief that settled deep into her bones. Medical bills, funeral costs, and a shrinking income forced her to sell their house, and soon even temporary housing became unreachable. Hannah refused to surrender to bitterness, but survival demanded creativity. She returned to the forest land her husband once loved, land he used to say felt like a living cathedral. While wandering through it one afternoon, she found a fallen tree. It was massive, ancient, torn down by a storm years earlier, its trunk split and hollowed by time. Inside, the space was dry, shielded from wind, and surprisingly warm. As sunlight filtered to the branches above, Hannah felt something she hadn't felt in years: peace. She researched endlessly, drawing on old survival techniques and natural shelters used by early settlers and indigenous communities. Hollow trees, when reinforced and insulated, could hold heat and block deadly winds. With careful planning, it wasn't madness. It was wisdom rooted in humility and trust in God's creation. Hannah decided to try. The work was exhausting and lonely. She cleared debris, reinforced the interior with salvaged wood, sealed cracks with clay and moss, and layered insulation made from bark, leaves, and fabric scraps. She prayed while she worked, asking not for comfort, but for strength. The forest became her companion, the rhythm of her labor echoing her heartbeat. Each night, she curled up inside the tree, listening to the wind pass harmlessly over her shelter. The neighbors did not understand. They whispered in church, laughed at the diner, and spoke of Hannah as a tragic story gone wrong. Some called her reckless. Others pitied her. A few even warned that winter would kill her. Hannah heard the rumors, but she stayed quiet. Her faith taught her that not every battle needed words. Autumn came fast that year, colder than usual. Frost coated the ground early, and animals moved with urgency. Hannah prepared carefully, storing food, reinforcing insulation, and learning to manage fire safely within the tree's structure. She felt fear, but it no longer controlled her. She trusted the shelter she built with her own hands and the God who guided her. Then the blizzard came. Weather warnings spread panic across the region. Snowfall predictions doubled overnight. Winds promised destruction, and temperatures were expected to plunge to deadly levels. Families boarded windows, stocked supplies, and prayed their power would hold. Hannah was urged to leave, begged to seek refuge in town. She declined, not out of stubbornness, but certainty. She knew her shelter. The storm hit like a living force. Snow fell sideways, burying roads within hours. Wind screamed through the forest, snapping weak branches and shaking the earth. Power lines collapsed. Homes lost heat. Emergency services were overwhelmed. In the middle of it all, the fallen tree stood firm. Inside, Hannah's world was quiet. The thick wooden walls blocked the wind entirely. Snow piled high on the outer trunk, adding another layer of insulation. Her small fire warmed the space gently, heat circulating naturally within the hollow. She prayed, read her Bible by lantern light, and waited. While chaos raged outside, her shelter held. Across the area, fear spread. Families huddled in cold homes as heaters failed. Some tried to leave but became stranded. As the storm stretched into its second night, desperation grew. Then someone remembered Hannah. A small group made their way through the snow, guided by faint tracks and memory. They expected to find tragedy. Instead, they found warmth. Hannah welcomed them without hesitation, sharing food, space, and comfort. More came as word spread. That fallen tree became a refuge, holding people who once mocked it. No one spoke of the laughter now. Survival stripped pride away. When the storm finally passed, the damage was severe. Several homes were uninhabitable. Roads were blocked for days. Hannah's shelter emerged untouched. News of what happened spread quickly. The woman they thought was broken had not only survived but saved others. In the weeks that followed, attitudes changed. Neighbors brought supplies, offered help, and asked questions. Hannah shared what she knew, not as an expert, but as someone who learned through necessity. Local churches and community groups began discussing emergency shelters inspired by her design. What began as mockery transformed into respect. Hannah never sought recognition. She continued living simply, improving her shelter, helping others prepare for future winters. The forest that once felt like her last refuge became a place of renewed purpose. She found healing not by escaping hardship, but by facing it with faith and humility. As spring returned, Hannah stood outside the fallen tree, watching sunlight filter through new leaves. She thought of how close she came to giving up, how easily she could have believed the laughter. Instead, she trusted her instincts, her faith, and the quiet wisdom of nature. The shelter was never just a home. It was proof that strength often hides in places the world overlooks. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that faith and resilience can carry us through even the fiercest storms, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that restore hope. Before the story ends, leave a comment below sharing what this journey made you feel, or write one word that represents strength to you. Hannah Whitaker's home inside a fallen tree still stands, not as a symbol of desperation, but of courage. And every winter since, when snow falls and winds howl, it reminds the world that sometimes the safest place is not what others approve of, but what God quietly prepares for us.